All right, thank you for joining. For today's class, I'm going to do a little bit differently. We're going to start off in kneeling, called Vajrasana, as far as a seated position. Now, if this becomes not comfortable at all for you, feel free to come back into easy pose, whatever feels most comfortable for you. But we're going to actually do our meditation or pranayama in this kneeling pose. So let me do a couple explanations in terms of kneeling. So ideally, for kneeling, we have our knees together, or our ankles and our heels together. And so when you're sitting on it, you can feel that stretch in your ankles. So that can be pretty intense for people. So this is to watch your knees. Sometimes that's too much for someone's knees. This is where if you have blankets and or towels, just for sensitive knees, what you would do is have it folded and place it behind the knees. So what that does is it allows knees to not have to bend so much. Does that make sense? And you can see, and you can add more blankets to it, so it's not as much. So can you see that? So you can even choose to put bolsters or even blocks. So sometimes when we're in other poses and other classes, I talk about maybe even possibly putting blocks behind there. So you can choose what level that feels comfortable with. Now, some of you may even feel like, gosh, this is really intense for my ankles. Let me go show you what you can do for that. Let's say your ankle is very, very tight, okay? What you would do is take one of your towels and you may roll it up. And place it, you notice how like usually your ankle would have that little bit of a roll up there, so you can actually place it underneath. That might make it a little bit more accessible. Do you see how that works? Okay. And again, it could be your ankle and your knees, and you can place it on there. So this is where you can just build up to whatever feels most comfortable for you. So we're going to be in this pose for quite a while. So if you want, you may say, oh, I'm going to add all these different props. And then maybe it feels like as the body is starting to relax, maybe the area is starting to stretch, you may decide to pull some of the different props out. Now, again, the goal isn't necessarily to be straight down to Vajrasana. Everyone's different, you know, we're uniquely created. So you just choose what feels most comfortable for you. And then to the point where you can relax and actually breathe. Because remember, this is what we normally do in easy pose. You can always later on completely opt out, get back out into your normal position. So while we're doing this, actually I really like the ankle thing, so I might do that. I think you guys heard me talk about like I've always had ankle issues. And check your feet. So sometimes your feet may sickle, it may like rotate inward. So you're trying to make it go straight. This is what I keep working on. What you may also experience, and this is what happens to me, is my foot immediately tries to cramp up because it does not want to go in that straight position. So be kind to yourself. And then if you can just let your palms rest on your thighs, and then kind of roll your elbows back so it's in the same line as your rib cage. Have the crown of your head up toward the heavens. And you can close your eyes and just breathe. So when you're breathing, just work on focusing your focus on your breath. As you inhale through your nose, feel your belly rise, the diaphragm fill up, chest fills up. And as you exhale, just feel it relax. Just allow everything to just be released. Inhale and exhale. Continue doing this and set your own intention. Today's class, I actually was inspired by Ephesians 3:14 through 19. So as you set your intention, as you breathe in this beautiful life force, I'm going to actually read the verse at the beginning. And then perhaps during our practice, you can see why we're doing what we're doing. This is actually written by Paul while he was in prison. For this reason, I kneel before the Father, from whom his whole family in heaven and on earth derives its name. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the saints, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know that this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Continue breathing and just allow that to soak into you. We're going to slowly open up our eyes. We're going to place our hands right underneath our shoulders, so we're kind of in a mini tabletop. If you want, you can remove your props. You're like, oh, thank goodness, we're finally out of the kneeling. I would like for you to tuck your toes. And then guess what? We're going to slowly go back, almost in kneeling again, you guys. So this is that little yin pose that you've seen me experience with you. So your feet are next to each other. Your toes are actually down there, and you're going to let the toes flex. So you're on your heels, so your heels are up. Okay, so we're in this position. Good. Listen to your body if you need to add any props underneath your knees. Again, if the knee joint feels like it's too tight, you can always put another blanket in between, behind your knees. Now, as we're saying here, I'm going to keep you focused on your breath. So we're going to place our hand at heart center in prayer. As we inhale, we're going to inhale our hands up toward heaven. Exhale and open up into nice little power. So almost like a football field. Yeah, football season people think, but we're actually doing strength. Inhale your hands in front of us. Palms together in front. And exhale it toward prayer pose. Inhale all the way up again toward heaven. Exhale as we go into that nice tower pose, strength. Inhale in front. Keep it toward him. Exhale, prayer back into our heart. Now, if you want, you can inhale your hands back up. Go in the same routine with your own breath. If this is a bit much to your exhale your hands into that strength. Inhale, give it to God. Back into your heart. Let's lift up into kneeling completely. And then we're going to untuck your toes. Place our hands right underneath your shoulders. And then let's slap your feet gently on top, getting a little bit of circulation to your toes. If you like, you can actually lift your feet off the ground and do some rotations. Rotate around your ankles. And feel it. You might want to be easier on one side versus the other side. And rotate in the opposite direction. And you can sense the strength and possibly the stretch in certain areas. Beautiful. All right, so let's go back into tabletop. Check your hand position directly underneath your shoulder. Index finger toward the top of your mat. Knees are directly underneath your hips, hip width apart. Your gaze is down toward your mat, but the crown of your head is at the top of your mat. So keep your head and your spine in alignment. As we inhale, you drop our belly down toward the floor, lift your tailbone up, gaze is up, short legs come toward each other, nice cow pose. Exhale, always go into cat, arch your back upward, tuck your tailbone down, chin down. Inhale, go into reverse. Exhale into cat, and just feel your own body. Inhale again. Exhale back down. Bring your hips back down toward your heels, like, oh no, here it goes again. This time, Inhale your arms all the way up. Bring hands over to your right side. Slowly come down from heaven to earth. Sweeping down, getting a little bit of spinal twist, one side to the other side. Slowly as the brush comes down toward earth. And as soon as your hands reaches the mat, bring your head down toward the floor, kind of like almost like a child's pose. Inhale as you bring both hands over to the right side, so it may come back. Feel your left hip, try to reach down to your left heel. Feel your left armpit coming down toward the floor. Feel that stretch, breathe here. Full inhale, feel that expansion. And exhale. Inhale again. Exhale, beautiful. Walk your hands over toward the center of the mat and then keep walking over to off the mat on the left side. So now both hands are off your mat on the left side. Keep your right heel trying to reach, or I should say your right hip trying to reach your right heel. Feel your right armpit trying to reach down toward your mat. Breathe here. Really feel the expansion. Relax your jaw, relax your head, neck. Breathe here. Full inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Walk your hands back to center. Coming back up. Hands directly underneath your shoulders. We're going to stretch your right foot out behind you. Flex that right foot. Songbird. So as we check to see if your right hip and left hip are in alignment, you guys look great. You can always drop your big right toe onto the floor. Just keep it nice and contacted there by keeping your core engaged. If you like, you can reach out with your left hand, palms toward the center line. I want you to feel yourself reaching your right heel, reaching back behind you, your left fingers reaching up in front of you, but bring both of them toward the center line. So feel that strength, feel that stretch, feel how long you can be. Exhale, keep breathing. Bring your left hand down, flex your right foot, and bend your right knee so the sole of your feet up toward heaven. Right hip, left hip still in alignment with each other. And then let's drop that right knee down. Excellent. Let's reach your left foot back behind you. Flex up left heel. Feel that strength. Reconnect. Make sure your left hip and right hip are in alignment with each other. Make sure they're balanced as if I'm putting a nice little vase holding your favorite flower on top, right on their sacrum. If you like, you can reach your right arm out, straight in front of you, palms toward the center line, thumbs up toward heaven, heels reaching back behind you. Let's see how tall. Remember, we talk about the length. How long can you be? Reaching, breathing. Drop your right hand down. Bend your left knee. Left sole of your feet up toward heaven. Just staying here. Just feel a little bit of engagement, not a lot. And then let's drop that down. And draw big circles. Nice big circles. Heavens all the way across. A little bit of synovial fluids in your joints, going the opposite direction. Going to now bring your right foot right by your right hand. If you want, you can move your left knee back a little bit. You can always pad your left knee a little bit. We're in that low lunge with the left knee dropped. Nice. You can always now choose a couple things. So if you feel like you can't touch the mat very well, you can always use blocks. You can always raise it up. You can always even place your hands, both hands on your thigh of your right leg. Give yourself getting a nice little stretch. Feel that? Nice strength. Feel a little bit of stretch, maybe perhaps in your left quads, but you can feel a little bit of strength in your right gluteus maximus. Feel nice strength and feel yourself extended. Oh, I love that. Nice look. Now place your hands down onto the floor. Tuck your left toes. Lift that left knee up. We're kind of that low lunge again. And I want you to feel your toes pressing into the mat, but trying to push the mat away from you, behind you. So I want you to feel a little bit of strength. For those that want to, you can always go into crescent. So if you want, you can lift up. Oh gosh, we have not done this for a while. I can feel this. You can always lift up and bring your hands into that power pose. All right, let's bring our hands back down. Take a step back with your right foot, downward facing dog. First downward facing dog of the day, possibly, or at least for this class, you can bend your left knee, reach your right heel to the mat, and then bend your right knee, reach your left heel to the mat. So just alternate your knees, you can walk your dog. And then we're gonna go back down to your knees. All right, let's bring your left foot toward your left hand. You're gonna go in the opposite direction now. So as you have your left knee over that left ankle, you may wanna move your right knee back a little bit, maybe pat it if that feels better for you. Your hands again on the mat. You have options, you can stay here. Some may choose to have their hands on blocks. Some may choose to have their hands on their left thigh. So yogi's choice. Make this a little bit active. Continue to breathe into it. Feel within your body what area has strength. Continue breathing, not judgment, just awareness. And as you can feel your breath and through your body, just realize this is exactly the piece of you that God loves. Just really direct it all the way through your entire body, your entire being. All right, let's place our hand back down to the mat. Tuck your right toe, lift that right knee up off the ground so you can stay in here. That low lunge, check your knee position of your left knee. And if you like, again, yogi's choice, you can choose, come up into crescent balance. So again, feel your big toes pressing into the mat, pressing it away from you, the bottom of your mat, and then perhaps coming up. This requires a lot more strengthening. You can have your hands up. You can always have it at the strengthening one, or you can even keep it at Namaste in prayer. Remember what Ephesians said. So everything's fine. Just feel yourself breathing. So you're at exactly where you need to be. And then when you're ready, you can lower yourself back down, your hands down to the mat. Take a step back with your left foot, downward facing dog. And perhaps see if maybe your heels come a little bit closer. It doesn't even actually have to make contact to the mat, but perhaps a little bit closer. Engage your core, bring that belly button up to your back spine. Feel your hands trying to move that mat up for the top of your mat. Feel your shoulders broadening and drop your head between your arms. And then we're going to slowly, slightly bend your knees and just kind of walk your feet up toward your hands. Have your feet at hip width apart. You can keep your knees really bent. Allow your belly to rest on your thighs. Grab your opposite elbows. Allow your head to just drop toward the earth. You may want to perhaps shake your head out, kind of rotate your arms, your elbows. And imagine yourself drawing with your elbows the infinity sign, that sideways 8. The infinity of how much God has planned for you and how much He loves you. Now we're going to slowly drop our hands down toward the mat and start stacking ourselves. So engage your core, slowly start rising up. Then come into mountain pose, Tadasana. Last one comes up your shoulder and then your head. Go really slowly. Beautiful. Hands again at heart center. This time we're going to bring, or as we inhale, our arms away from us. Exhale it open. And I want you to feel yourself, bring your shoulder blades, your girdle back behind you, stretching it wide. You feel the strength. So your arms are stretched out almost like a cross, but I want you to almost feel like your shoulder blades coming toward each other. So strong arms, palms really outstretched. Keep breathing here. I'd like for you to feel the soles of your feet nicely rooted into the ground. And feel yourself breath. Expand your chest, the heart. Exhale your hands back, heart center. Inhale your hands all the way up toward the sky. Engage your core. We're in a slight little back bend, so make sure you're not scrunching into your lower back. Feel yourself elongating upward and then slight behind. Just slight little back bend. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bring your hands, heart center, and continue passing all the way down to the floor. Touch the earth. Inhale your hands as if you're kind of slowly bringing along your shin. Nice flat back. Bring your shoulder blades back. Exhale your hands back down. We're going to take a step back with your left foot. We're going to drop your heels down. We're going to come up into that warrior one. So let's come up with warrior one. Right knee over that right ankle. Feel your left foot. So perhaps the left side is coming up a little bit. See if you can have the outer side of your left foot make contact to the mat. Check your right foot. If you need to, you can come a little bit closer. Exhale your hands. And then your heels rotate to warrior two. So right knee stays over that right ankle. Nice and strong. Drop our right forearms to our thighs. Extend your arms, your left arm over. Side angle. If you like, you can always straighten your right elbow so your right hand is coming down toward the floor. If you like, you can stretch your left arms up. So here you go into your nice length. How high and how deep. Inhale back to warrior two. And then we're going to go into peaceful warrior. So keep your right knee over. Bring your right arm over your head. Inhale back to warrior two. Straighten your leg. Going to reach forward into our triangle pose. So reach forward, your hips staying back. Rotate your palms toward your front. And then you're going to drop your right hand down to 6 o'clock position, your left hand up to 12 o'clock position. So again, reaching your heaven to earth. But I want you to feel your left hip coming back behind you, your right hip coming up in front of you, as if you're in 2 panes of glass. If it's okay with your head, you can always gaze up. If not, just look straight. Bend your right knee, come back up into warrior two. I'd like for you to drop your hands back between right by your hips. Take a step up, a slight little step up. Interlace your fingers behind you. Right knee is still bent. We're going to come into humble warrior. So as you drop, bow down, your shoulder, your chest, your heart comes between your right armpits kind of by your right knee, and perhaps your hands are lifted up toward heaven. Drop your head down, nice little stretch, balance challenge, keep your breath going. And then come back up. Nice and controlled, beautiful. We're gonna take a step, release your hands, take a step up with your left foot. Inhale your arms all the way back up. Exhale as you bring your hands back to your heart prayer pose and then sit into chair. So you're bending your knees. If you like, you can even kind of have your toes together, and then your heels slightly apart. Should be able to see your toes. If you want, you can even lift your toes up. Inhale here. As you exhale, bring your left elbow to the right thigh. Bring your gaze to the side. Or another option is you can always just open up your arms if you don't want to actually do the other spinal twist. So in this prayer pose, you have the option to drop your left hand down toward earth, right finger up toward heaven. It's almost like we're continuously measuring. Bring your hands back to heart center. Exhale back to center. Let's drop our hands down to the floor. Straighten your knees. See if you can relax your jaw. Allow your hands to gradually run up your shins. Nice flat back. Shoulder blades come between, become toward each other. Exhale, your hands back down. Take a step back with your right foot. Drop your heels down. We're coming into warrior one on the other side. So again, check your left knee, come back up into warrior one. And check your hips. So your hips gonna want to be facing the same direction, maybe toward the top of your mat. Left knee over, beautiful. You have options with your arms. You can always do warrior one arms, or if you want to do the strengthening arms, or like I said, listen to your body. If it feels like it would rather be in prayer pose, right, is always a good thing. So you can choose. Exhale into warrior two. So have your arms parallel to the mat. Your right heel comes a little bit closer so that your back of your feet are parallel. And actually now drop your left forearm to our thigh, extend your right arm over, nice side angle. You have the option to drop your left fingers down toward the floor, right arm up. Again, measuring the depth, height. Feel your breath. Come back into warrior two. Straighten your knee. Going into our triangle pose, so knees straight, don't lock it, but just knees straight. If you want, you can do a little micro bend, and then keep your hips where they're at. Bring your body, your upper body forward, rotate your palms, and then pivot down. So left fingers down toward earth, right fingers back up toward heaven. Again, measure that depth of love. Really stretching out. See what feels good for your head. So you can always look down, you can always look straight, or you can look up. Whatever your cervical spine is telling you feels good. Bend your left knee, come back up into warrior two. If you like, you can drop your hands down. You can take a step up slightly with your right foot, interlace your fingers behind you. Now, just for a little bit, chances are you tend to like to interlace your fingers a certain way. Rotate your fingers up one so that your other opposite thumb is now on top. Oh yeah. Right, so check yourself as if you're in warrior one, so check your hips. Are they still squared to the front? Hip to be squared. And then as you exhale, see if you can go down in humble warrior. So left knee is staying over that left ankle, dropping your chest down on the inside of your left knee, left thigh. Bring your arms up toward the sky. Perhaps you can feel yourself trying to pull away the fingers so you feel that engagement. How you feel even lifting your shoulders. Relax your head, relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Breathe. And using control, I really want you to feel your feet nice and rooted. Come back up. Release your hands, bring it back up to the sky, and then exhale, bring your hands down to the floor. Take a step back with your left foot, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. You can always drop to your knees. Slowly bend our elbows to lower ourselves down. Have the top of your feet touching the floor. Have it zipped up, so I want your toes, your big toes touching each other, ankles, maybe the inside of your thighs touching each other. and then press the top of your feet into the top of onto the mat. Lift up into slight little baby cobra. If you like, you can actually lift your hands up off the mat. Place your hands back under your toes and press yourself up into a nice little child's pose. Child of God. You want to relax your shoulders, you can always have your elbows fall out toward the width of your mat. You can always bring your hands down to the ankles with the palms facing up. You're going to reach your hands above our head onto the mat. Coming back up. You're going to go back into downward facing dog. So place your hands at that shoulder width apart. Tuck your toes and lift your knees up off the ground, your hips up to the upside down V. If you like, you can actually lift your right foot up slightly, three-legged dog. Bring your right foot toward your right hand. So you can always walk it up, drop your left foot, heel down, and come back up into your warrior one. Exhale into your warrior two. We're going to straighten that right knee. We're going to be standing in standing Pradasana. So we're going to be in that V shape. So sorry, some of you guys are now facing away from me. So you can have your arms straight out. So I want you to feel yourself nice and wide. Nice and wide. You try and take up as much space. Every single space, that's how much God loves you. So at this point, I want you to really feel yourself nice and rooted into the ground. Rooted. You're going to bend at the hips. So bend just up the hips. Make sure you're not locking your knees. You might micro bend it slightly. Arms still out. Keep breathing. Arms still parallel. Now, as you are as far forward folded as possible, bring your left hand directly underneath your nose onto the ground. Lift your right arm up toward the sky, up toward the heavens. So again, doing a lot of measurements, depth, length, width. Sometimes it might be hard to reach the floor, so you can always use blocks, you can always use props to help you. Exhale your right hand down to where your left hand's at. And then now you're going to inhale your left arm up toward heaven. And then perhaps your gaze is going to look over the left side. So it could be over your left, toward your left fingers, or just straight toward your left side. Feel the strength, feel the connection. But make sure you're still rooted with your feet. Inhale your left hand back down. Both hands are right below you. I'd like for you to really drop and relax your shoulders. So your head's going toward the floor like a little pendulum. Shake your head no. And nod your head yes. You're going to bend your right knee slightly. Kind of walk both hands over toward the right side, just a little bit. So you feel the inner stretch of your left thigh. So we're still staying up high. Breathe here. 2 full breath cycles. And then as we start straightening that right knee, we're going to walk our hands over and then bend our left knee and walk your hands over to the left side, feeling the inner stretch of your right thigh. One side might feel a lot tighter or a lot looser than the other side. That's okay, no judgment, just awareness. Feel a couple nice breath cycles here. And we're going to walk our hands center as we start straightening the left knee. Keep both knees straightened. Again, see if you can maybe fold forward a little bit more so. So this time, perhaps
your head is trying to make contact with the earth. And then we're not trying to stick our butt up to the heaven because that's, that just doesn't seem appropriate. However, I want you to really feel like the roots. So in yoga, we have these different chakra points. The roots is down there. So are we truly rooted? Are we grounded to what heaven wants for us, what God wants for us? You may feel a little bit more of a stretch here. If you like, you can even walk your hands between your legs, fingers away from you for the behind. And feel what happens when you try to have your palms into the ground. So again, try not to interlock, lock your knees. You might want to do a slight little micro bend, but you can feel the stretch in the thigh area, the inner thighs. Can you keep your jaw relaxed? So again, if this may be because your hands are too close, have your hands at that shoulder width apart. Feel the difference in it. So as you become more aware of the different signals and the different feelings of your body, the whisper that it may be giving you, respond to it versus reacting to it. Place your hands right underneath your nose, coming up into a nice flat back. We're going to bring our heels slightly in, bend your knees, and then we're going to kind of drop our hips down and we're kind of come into our temple pose. Hands at heart center. Inhale, bring our arms all the way up toward heaven, straighten our legs, little slight back bend. Exhale, hands to heart center. Very close. Exhale. Heel toes your feet together, come to the top, and then as we slowly lift our heels up off the ground, like nice little balance challenge, start bending your knees as you start coming into seated with your hands at prayer pose. This is a balance challenge. If you need to, you can always release. And once you're there, you can come down onto your seat. All right. So now we're in seated. You can always choose to put the blanket underneath your hips. If you always feel like your hamstring might be a little tight, you're more than welcome to do that. But we're going to be in that seated shuttle pose. So again, feel your heels nice and flexed, your legs straight. And then I'd like for you to feel yourself right at the hip press point. Start walking your hands toward the top of your mat. So as you're starting to bend forward, you might not go very far. It's okay. Again, the object isn't necessarily get our nose to touch the mat. It's trying to work those different tendons, ligaments, joints, all that space. Check your jaw. Is it tight? If so, just run your tongue from the right side to the left side of your upper teeth. And just allow the tongue to rest gently on top of the roof of the mouth. Just allow it time. Many times it's time that we spend in stillness. Feeling that stretch. Slowly walk our hands underneath our shoulders, straightening our spine. Going to this time, reach our right hand along the right leg. Keep your left sits bone connected and perhaps lift your left arm up toward the right leg. So keep your left sits bone, make it press down into it. So you may not be going over a lot if you're trying to keep that down. getting that stretch in. And feel what feels comfortable for your head, your arms. Breathe here. For some people, maybe putting the arms over their head doesn't feel comfortable. So what you can do is you can always bend your elbow and place the back of your hands behind on your sacrum. So that might be an option as well. Then if you tend to have tight shoulders and tight jaws and tight neck, you're going to notice how the jaw is kind of like tightening up there. So again, same thing. Can you relax the jaw? Slightly coming up. Then we're going to go on to the other side. So inhale your arms all the way up to the heaven. Palms together. Exhale your hands to prayer right in front of your heart. And extend your left hand all the way down your left leg. And then right sits bone makes contact with the earth. And then bring your right arm over. So can you keep that right shoulders open instead of collapsing toward the inner body? So again, you may not be going over a lot. You have that option. So again, if you want, you can always bend that right elbow and then bring your back of your hands toward your sacrum. That may help you keep that right shoulders open. And you may notice how one side is very different than the other side. That's okay. Send a lot of gratitude. Send it love. Deep appreciation. Slowly come back up. We're going to bring our soles of feet toward each other. And then this time, you can always keep it nice and large between where your sacrum is to your heels. But again, I want you to feel yourself as you're going to bend at the hips, slowly come fold forward. So options, if you have a block, you can always put it right by your feet so that if you want, you can have something contacting your forehead. That makes it a little bit more restorative. So again, this is a little bit more of a deep hip opener, but you can also feel the lower back, the lower spine, the lumbar area, and a nice stretch as well. If you like, you can even have your fingers interlaced with your toes, even a little bit of toe stretch. Sometimes we do our yoga toes. Slowly come up. Bring our knees up. Plank both feet to the hip width. Place your hands right below your shoulders, fingers toward the body. And you're going to lift up and reverse tabletop. That's accessible to you. Really feel the gluteus maximus, really engaging here. See if you can broaden your shoulders. Make sure your knees don't flare out. Keep them together, coming toward strength. Exhale, slowly lower your hips back down to the floor. Straighten your feet. One last time, one more forward fold. So again, see if you can remove the, call it the little flush out of your way. But you can always place some towels underneath your hips and fold forward here. So again, feel yourself right at the hips. Can you fold forward? You may not go very far, completely fine. In fact, if anyone was doing their toe massage thing, then you might
be grateful for doing it, because then it might make your hamstring a little bit more relaxed. But keep that in mind, guys. There's a reason why all the acupressure and such helps relax certain muscles more. Don't force this. And if you could, perhaps you can reach toward your feet or your ankle or your calves, or your knees, or your thighs, it doesn't matter. Deep, long, high, for your breath. Relax. Okay, we're going to come down to our back. So bend your knees. We're going to lower ourselves. So you can always roll over to your right side and then lower onto your spine. I invite you to lift your right foot up, feel the height of your right heel up toward heaven. Your left foot is still making contact to the floor, so your left knee is bent. And now we're going to bend that right knee, hug your right knee to your chest, your ascending colon, when we're moving pose. As we do this, we're going to lift that left heel up toward the heaven, feel that height, and then we're going to slowly lower that left heel all the way down to the floor. Really want you to feel yourself really trying to take up as much space. It's going to be as tall as possible, as long as possible. Have your shoulders still connected to the floor. Your head should be making contact to the floor, or perhaps a pillow or a blanket. Inhale here. As you exhale, hug that right knee to your chest. Press through your left heel. Flex that right foot. Feel the difference when you flex that right foot as well. Breathe. I really want you to sense what happens when you're breathing here. In between every single spine. Do you feel any difference? Do you sense anything? Perhaps you might see something differently. You close your eyes. Bend your left knee, hug your left knee to your chest and your right knee to your chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Placing both hands over toward the left foot. Hug your left foot to your chest. Extend that right foot back up toward heaven. And we're going to slowly lower it down toward the earth. See how much space you can take. Remember, inhale here. Hug that left knee toward your chest. That descending colon. Then removing toes. Feel your breath. Nice internal massage. The digestive system. Pressing out through that right heel. Flex that left foot. Continue breathing here. Maybe sense any difference with your breath. Maybe sense some different feeling or experience through your body or even in your mind. Hug your right knee up, hug both knees to your chest. This time extend both arms out as wide as possible, the width of how wide you are. Place your feet onto the mat. Slightly lift your hips and slightly bring it over to the left a little bit. And then lift your knees back up and then allow them, they're stacked together, allow them to drop over to the right side. Nice and slowly with control.
Get a little bit of spinal twist. Arms stretched out. Hoping to recalibrate the nervous system. You can always bring your gaze over to your left fingers if you want. Bring your gaze back to center. Engage your core as you bring your knees back to center. Drop your feet to the ground. Recalibrate yourself in the center, and then slowly allow your hips to go over toward the right just a little bit more. And then bring your knees back up. Exhale as you allow both knees to stack on top of each other to come down toward your left side. So with control, engage your core. Allow your feet, your knees and everything to make contact. If you notice that something's hovering from the ground and you want to make it more restorative, you can always grab one of your props or blankets or blocks and place it underneath whatever area is just hovering above. So sometimes it's someone's foot. Then I want you to really feel your hands, your arms stretched out, that width. And you are, of course, invited to bring your gaze over to the right finger. As you continue breathing here, I want you to feel the expansion right into your chest, into your heart. Feel it grow. Do this several times. Bring your gaze back to center. Engage your core, bring your knees back to center. Hug your hands. You might want to recalibrate yourself to get back to center, whichever way feels best. If you like, I'd like for you to make sure you're nice and centered again. You can always bring your both knees to your chest. You can always bring your legs up the wall, which is up toward the ceiling. You have the option to go into happy baby by bending your knees and grabbing the outside of your feet. What that does is it helps lower the lumbar spine and make contact with the floor. Sometimes that feels really great for people before they get ready to go into Shavasana. If there's anything that your body is asking you to do before you get into your final pose, feel free to do that. And then when you're ready, just going to extend that right heel to the right corner of your mat. Left heel to the left corner of your mat. But if by chance your lower back feels a little wonky and you may want to allow it to be released, you can always have your knees bent. You can always place maybe a bolster underneath the knees so that it allows it to the lower back to flatten a little bit. You can always go do legs up the wall. But if you like the traditional Shavasana, you can always have your heels to the corner of your mat, your hands laying comfortably onto the floor, palms facing up, a little bit of distance from your body. Relax your feet, relax your legs, relax your knees, relax your hips, relax your arms, your shoulders. Have your angel wings tucked under. Relax your jaw. Relax the space between your forehead. And then just close your eyes. Reconnect to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Take notice of your feet, tip of your toes, the soles of your feet, your heels, and know how much that loves you. From the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. As you breathe here, sense how the breath comes from your toes up to your legs, your stomach, up your entire torso, your chest, through your arms, even from your fingertips all the way up your arms to your shoulders, up your neck, up the top of your side of your head. Feel the breath as you continue to breathe, but you can actually imagine that love, breath. If you sense any tension there as you exhale, just allow it to release, just allow it to surrender. God provides you that strength. All things are possible through Him. You have this. Just allow it to just expel from you. So during this next 3 breath cycles, I invite you to listen to what God may have for you, knowing how much He loves you. How high, how long, how wide, how deep is His love for you, so that you can get the full fullness. Trying to bring our awareness back into our body, back into this world. Now wiggle your fingers and your toes. And really, really wiggle your fingers and your toes. Really stretch them wide. Your toes, your fingers. Rotate your ankles and your wrists, both ankles. The wrists going the opposite direction. Inhale your arms over your head. Bring your feet together, like really stretch your toes away from you. Look how high, how long you can be in this case. And as you exhale, let's bring and gather in all that love. Gather in your knees, hug yourself. Bring perhaps your nose toward your knees. Keep your eyes closed. Roll over to your right side, having your head rest gently on top of your arm. Keep your eyes closed. You're going to press yourself up into a nice, comfortable seated position toward the front. And believe me, we can be in nice, comfortable seated position. We're not going to be in kneeling. Your hands resting gently on top of your thighs, palms facing upward to continue to receive His love. If you like to still in your practice, you can close your thumb and your index finger. Inhale through your nose, nice full inhale here. Exhale out breath as if you're fogging the mirror. Nice deep inhale here. Complete exhale.
One more time. Gather in all that beautiful inhale of love. And exhale, knowing how much she does. Floating your hands together, palm touching palm, thumb resting right above your heart. Tucking your chin down when you're hurt. May this practice provide you with the fullness of love that God promises for you. Knowing the strength that He has for you. Knowing that we can always be kneeling toward God in prayer to receive all He has for us. Thank you for coming. Namaste. That third eye. Down. Namaste.